Major roster moves beget a major response in a big 7-0 win over the Ducks.
You are Locked On Mammoth, your daily podcast on the Utah Mammoth, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Mammoth. I'm veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined as always by longtime team analyst Robyn Leaño, and together we're the dynamic duo that brings you Locked On Mammoth each and every single weekday. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we are part of the Locked On Sports Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Can you believe it? It's looking better and better. And Robyn, it looks better and better in Mammoth Land. They made major moves, and we talked about some of them. We're going to get into all of them because there were certain guys who took a seat in the press box tonight, certain rookies inserted into the lineup. They really did. They put the lines in a blender, ton of changes, but they got a big time response and came out with a 7-0 win over the Anaheim Ducks.
And you know what, Tom? After the kind of the game they posted against San Jose, they needed a response like that. And then it's interesting. I was looking back at some of the comments, and some people were like, "Guys, I think you're selling the Sharks short. They have a better record than Mammoth right now. They're a better team." And I'm like, "Okay, sure, but we're still judging the Mammoth on their performance, and that's not what we want." And seeing this performance against the Ducks, who are, by the way, a better team than the Sharks are, that it's a good sign. And I think, to me, I'm glad we got a response like that because we really needed something like that to kind of bring the energy back.
Robyn, if I really wanted to, I could take the early part of the show into the why did it take so darn long to get here? But we're here. And I'm not going to veer off into that, but just know that I very easily could because we've been asking this question for weeks. But they finally did something because they had to, right? So Simashev goes down, But comes up, gets plugged right into the lineup. As you mentioned, or maybe we were talking about this before the show and we haven't mentioned it yet, but they sat a couple of guys down. They sat Tanev down, which I thought probably
super necessary. He's been very poor.
It's been a while, right?
Yeah.
I wondered when that was going to happen. And they sat Barrett Hayton,
which is also a necessity. And I don't think Hayton's been the worst player, but I feel like he's been somewhat cold, and they feel like they just need to kind of just sit him down for a little bit, let him take a breather while these other guys come in to kind of help set things up.
So my boy Spicy Tuna gets back in the lineup tonight, which is great to see. Lawsone Crouse starts things off, and he has really been the only beating heart for this team lately. And so it was good to see him start off. That made me feel better.
Oh, yeah.
But then, Robyn, they started to get it going. Maveric Lamoureux was inserted into the lineup tonight defensively. He had some jump, Danny goals. One of the few Mammoth players, believe it or not, without a point.
But
in
even
this game, but
even though he didn't, even though Daniil But didn't have a point, I was about to say that I thought he looked great.
Yeah, he didn't look out of place too. Which was one of the things I was looking for early on. There was a shift where he went to the front of the net and he just got swatted right out of the front of the net, and he was removed kind of easily. And I said, I'm going to keep an eye on that for the rest of the game. And that happened. That probably happened a couple of minutes into the game. And I said, well, boy, I hope he's ready for this.
Yeah.
After that, didn't see it as a problem. I think once he kind of got knocked out of there and realized he needed to up his physical presence a little more, just as far as being able to take, the weight of being in front of the net, I didn't notice a problem out of him. So he adjusted pretty quickly.
There were a couple of times, too, where I did notice he was a little bit too down low. What I mean down low is, too much closer to the net, especially when there were some setup passes going that went towards the boards. All of a sudden, there was no one there, and it allowed the Ducks to take things back in the other direction. But I feel like because the Ducks were just nothing was going in their way, to me, it didn't really make all that much of a difference. And this is me nitpicking, right? These are me nitpicking just a couple of different things that I saw where I'm like, okay, yeah, that could be better. But this is also his debut game, right? This was his debut game. And I think all in all, not going to complain.
Robyn, lost in the shuffle here is the fact that had the Ducks dressed me instead of Boots, Nevitz, their backup, I could have made my NHL debut tonight because they chased Ville Husso. So I could have played the third period for the Ducks. Could have been my NHL debut. I'm really upset with my agent for not getting me that contract with the Ducks. So we'll work on that. But a couple other things I want to talk about that I thought the Mammoth did well tonight. I mean, they really did everything well. Everything kind of went their way. Even when they made a mistake or there was a little breakdown, it didn't matter. Veg did bail them out. But defensively, I want to talk about what this team did. They blocked shots. They got in the way. They did not overrun, except for Sergachev a couple of times on the rush, outrun their protection. But even Sergachev, when he did go in deep, was hustling hard to get back.
Yep.
So there's been a message delivered here. Of course, we're going to want to see how it sticks over the next several games. But the defense did its job tonight. And I thought my favorite defenseman out there, I know you mentioned how much you like Lamoureux, but man, I really liked Ian Cole's game tonight.
Ian Cole looked great. No, he looked good because I feel like when we were talking about an actual defenseman doing their job, that's the prime example, right? I feel like he helped lock things down. He helped make sure that the Ducks weren't getting their high opportunities. Like you saw Mason McTavish and you saw Becca Seneca get some good opportunities, but Ian Cole was there to lock it down. And I felt like, and it was him mainly. I mean, yeah, there were a few others out there who actually were doing the job. As I mentioned, I really liked how Maverick Lamoureux played. I'm going to get to more of the reasons of that in just a second. But yeah, this team locked it down, and I appreciated that.
And he even scored a goal tonight, Robyn. Goal and an assist. Huge night for Ian Cole. And +5. I don't know if anyone's been +5 this season for the Utah Mammoth, but Ian Cole was +5 tonight. That's massive. What a great game for him. I mean, he should frame that and just hang it on his wall and refer to that score sheet because tonight was his night. He looked outstanding.
There's another thing I think he'd like on a score sheet. That I'll also show in a little bit and later in this show.
Okay, we will definitely get to that. The other thing, can't overlook JJ Paterka, 2 goals, 2 assists.
Mm-hmm.
He scored a goal again from, it's kind of funny, but he's really good. He's kind of the king of the bad angle, isn't he? He shoots from low, almost below the faceoff circles, way out wide by the dots, and yet he still finds ways to put pucks in the net. And tonight there was the one goal that I'm thinking of. Man, I thought they were going to pass themselves right out of a scoring chance.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. And then, Peterka can score from crazy angles. He's not afraid.
It's crazy when we see Peterka shoot. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. He's like in the second row with some popcorn and just fires one in from over there. So that's also very impressive. But boy, no matter what the Ducks did tonight, it didn't work.
No,
they tried to change the goaltender. They tried a bunch of things. They did score one goal that was immediately called back on the offside. And by the way, that was a nice play by Sean Dursey. Tonight was a really big effort from the Mammoth. And it's nice to see a convincing win and a convincing effort. Yes, we can spend a lot of time asking where it's been, Robyn, but it was here tonight. And we don't know where it's been. So again, we could have taken the show in that direction. I don't want to, because I think now what we have to do is look ahead. But there's a lot to take out of tonight's game that they did well and highlight and say, hey guys, great. Now do this for another 60 games. So let's start talking about that next. And tonight's show brought to you in part by FanDuel. Look, NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. And with FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. You can feel it, right? A receiver's getting hot. QB's heating up, running back starting to make some ground, defense tightens up, momentum flips, there's a turnover, something happens, and FanDuel lets you jump into that moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player prop bets update as guys heat up, and you can bet next score, touchdowns, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, and every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño, Locked On Mammoth. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every single day when it comes to the Utah Mammoth. Don't forget our Everydayer Club is going to be launching on December 8th. We've talked about that before, and just get ready. It's going to be pretty awesome. Robyn, I can't imagine what that Discord room would have looked like here tonight, because there was a lot of positive chatter, and I know you've got some things you want to get to and some breakdowns here. But on a night where everything went well, and again, I thought from the goal out, they looked good. And here's the thing. You can make your goaltenders look so good. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about, again, Chicago under Quenneville winning 3 Stanley Cups as a puck possession team, as a defensive team. Same thing with the Colorado Avalanche. When they won their Stanley Cup, they made Grubauer look amazing. They made Veggie look great tonight because he didn't have a lot of high degree of difficulty saves to have to make. And that is a product of really good defense. Robyn, if they played this way all the time, or at least 80, 90% of the time, we would not have had the couple of weeks of shows that we've had.
We wouldn't. We wouldn't. Yeah, absolutely not. I do want to point out, by the way, do you know that was Veggie's first shutout of the season?
Yes, I do. I do. Yep. And that was a big moment for him. I hope he keeps that puck, because I mean, he was still busy enough. It's not like he could take a nap back there. But again,
there was some great saves. Let's be real.
Yes.
But there was also some times where it was pretty darn clear that the defense bailed him out. Because I mentioned where there was this time where Mason McTavish, or no, it was Mason. Yeah, I think it was Mason McTavish, who was literally right in front of the net and just couldn't pot it home. And I was like, man, Veggie is lucky there. I mean, at that point, it was like the score was like 6-0, but still, like that just shows you that A, things weren't going well for the Ducks, but also B, the defense was still helping lock things down and really helped helped right in front of Veggie, so he didn't have to make any of the crazy saves. He still made some, which credit to him for doing that, but didn't have to do a whole lot.
The second period was Anaheim's everything. They had 16 shots. They only had 6 in the first and 5 in the third, but 16 shots in the second period. So they really threw the kitchen sink at the Mammoth in that middle frame and couldn't find a way to score a goal. Now, again, they did score the one, which would have been interesting if it would have counted. But because the play was offside, the goal gets called back, and that Utah took advantage of the break. They immediately swung the momentum back the other way. And you know what? I mean, heading into the third, you wondered how it was going to go. And then Liam O'Brien banks one in off the defenseman's skate. I mean, that's living right. He was working hard. He was putting a puck towards the net. It deflects in. And that, I think, that was probably the straw that broke the Ducks back at that point. Was that one going in? I think they kind of just...
I want to put... This is something I talked to Tom before we started recording, and I want to put some appreciation for Liam O'Brien, not just for his goal, but for his composure, because we talked about what he's out there to do, right? He's out there to kind of stir the pot, right? He's that kind of guy. But there was an instance where an Anaheim player, Johnston, wants to go and fight O'Brien, and it's pretty clear he wants to fight O'Brien, but O'Brien's not having it. He doesn't even care. He's not even responding. Because he doesn't respond, he draws the penalty and gives the Utah the power play, which ends up leading to the power play that Peterka gets the goal on. And that's credit to being that composure, because you're the guy that fights all the time. That's what you're gonna do, right? But he didn't have to do it this time because he knew it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, it was. And discretion is a better part of valor right there. There was no reason to get involved with that. And he saw that, and that was great. And it did earn Utah a power play there. So, yeah, hats off. And you know what? I mean, look, no Tanev, no problem. I thought Tuna came in and delivered everything that they could have asked out of him tonight. I don't know about Hayton if he's going to be back in after one game sitting or not, but honestly, Robin, I'd be super tempted not to change a thing right now. 7-0. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially too, Tom, when we take a look at the game scores, the game score chart, because I said I was going to show it to you, and here it is, by the way. And you talked about how Ian Cole played, and I talked about Maveric Lamoureux played. Look at their game scorecards. They told you an example.
JJ Paterka, huge night for him. 2 goals, 2 assists. I mean, that's big. He's up to 12 now, by the way.
Keller's line, by the way, looked great. I mean, he also got a goal in there too. So, like,
and that was the other thing I think we need to talk about, Robin. Here's the fact that really the Crouse line was the only one that stayed together. Everything else got shifted around significantly this evening. So, I mean, as you look at it there, again, I thought Ian Cole had a great game, but up front, I mean, JJ Paterka, here's the nice thing. I will say this, and it's nice to see Nick Schmaltz get back on the score sheet in a big way. I think that was important because he had kind of gotten quiet and gotten cold again. But there's so much talent up there, Robin. If they just play a simpler game and let their talent do the things it can do, of course they're going to put pucks in the net. Doesn't matter who they're playing with.
I mean, yeah. I mean, how many quote tic-tac goals did we see in this game? Because they just kept things simple.
Yep, they really did. So that was very pleasing to see. I gotta love that. But again, Ian Cole, and as you mentioned, Maveric Lamoureux. You know what? I liked him last year when he was up, and I thought he looked good again this year, or at least this game. Yeah. So that's obviously small sample size.
That setup on the first goal was like chef's kiss. He set up Lawsone Crouse from behind the net, and then Crouse puts it home, and what was honestly a beautiful shot, by the way. That was beauty right in front. But that was a really good read by Lamoureux to do that. I also thought, outside of obviously the offensive production, that Lamoureux was also defensively responsible and really held the blue line pretty darn well. I think that's why I've been praising him, because I felt like he did a good job. And honestly, it shows he very well deserved the call up.
Robin, I have one hidden question from tonight's game that we're not going to get into in this show.
Okay.
But it merits discussion down the line. And I'll just throw it out there for comment fodder. If you guys want to debate this in the comments, that's fine. But have we seen the last of Olli Maatta? It's been a while. So, yeah, I'll just throw that out there. All right. You know what? Let's go ahead and wrap things up here with the 7-0 win against the Ducks. And now you've got the rest of this road swing coming up here on the weekend. Vancouver and Calgary. Not an easy path right now, but taking a lot of momentum out of this win over the Ducks.
And hey, today's episode is brought to you by Drip Drop. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, my energy, mood, even my skin. And that's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's a doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power, no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes at half the sugar of leading brands, using science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I use Drip Drop in my routine. Sometimes in my daily routine, I'll go ahead and use it before I go out and go to my early morning work job sometimes. But what I really use it, and where it really helps me the most, is when I mix it in before I go to a hockey game, and I feel like I will have some of the best games of my life. It really does feel that way. And they just absolutely taste amazing. Right now, my favorite flavor is strawberry lemonade. It really takes me back to my childhood. It kind of makes me get that feeling, but I don't have to worry about the sugar that my childhood strawberry lemonades had, right? Because it's Drip Drop. It's got that good hydration. It's become non-negotiable for me. Drip Drop makes me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly, just overall better. Right now, Drip Drop is offering our podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL. That's dripdrop.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your mind and body performing at its best with Drip Drop.
Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño here with you. Thanks for listening. Hey, if you like the show, please subscribe. We appreciate that. See numbers of you jumping on board and hitting the subscribe button. Also, smash that like button. It also helps us as well. Helps you guys with the algorithm, too, to find more great hockey content just like this one. I've had a bunch of Mammoth fans who have talked to me on social media, Robyn, who have been suggesting other Mammoth podcasts. And we do keep an ear on what's going on out there. And, recognizing it's kind of funny that they say, well, you guys don't talk about this, but they talk about this. And number one, yes, you're right. And I do know our show is different for many reasons. But one of which is like we do focus a lot on the technical, the personnel side of things, talking about that. But there are other shows out there, and you know what? We encourage you to sample as well to get other opinions. We're not the only opinions out there, and have a well-informed, well-rounded opinion. But we see what we see. We say what we say because it's how we feel. So, and I think we can have respectful discussions around this. Like, we feel good after tonight's win. Now, look, I am not by any means convinced that it's fixed magically after one explosive outing. However, do I feel better? Absolutely. Now I'm just waiting for the weekend now, Robyn. This has made me, I want to see the games on the weekend.
I want to try to put as much of a positive spin as I can because, that's what I do, right? I always try. And I'll say this. The last time the Mammoth had this much of an explosive outing, right, where they scored 6 or more goals, was when they beat the Sharks. Back in October, by the way. And that was win 2 of their 7-game win streak. And which I think after that, they were really hot after that game against the Sharks. I think it could very well be a momentum booster, a confidence booster that could at least create some kind of run. Now, again, we don't want to see a falter like we saw after the 7-game win streak, but I'd like to stay hopeful that this could be something to help turn things around.
Yes.
If that's how you're going to play against the Ducks, putting that much of an effort out there, then who's to say they can't keep it up?
That's right. And they need to keep it up.
They need to.
They're at a point right now where you don't want to slip too far away from a wild card spot. You need to pick up every single 2 points you can. I said it before the previous show for this Ducks game here, Robyn. I said they could still finish with 3-1 on this road trip, which would be phenomenal, but it was going to take a major turnaround against the Ducks. Well, we saw that, and they did make some moves that were necessary. But this is where you're trying to do everything you can before you either make the major trade or make the move to replace the coach. You have to go to your own well first. And that's what they're doing. And tonight it made a difference. Now we get to see if it continues to make a difference.
Absolutely. And so far, again, love the additions. We'll see how much they make an impact against Vancouver coming up this weekend. We'll definitely have a preview for that coming up, but like I said, Tom, I'm going to try to stay as positive as I can going in this because with the last couple of weeks that they've had, I'll take anything to cling on the positive.
Well, tonight was a good game for that. So,
exactly.
So let us know what you think in the comments. Do you feel better? In your mind, did this solve it? Did this fix the issues? Calling some guys up, moving the lineup around a little bit, or do you need to do some shuffling? What would you do right now? Let us know. out there. And Robyn, if they want to reach out to us on socials, where can they find us?
Yeah, you can find us everywhere on social media at Locked On Mammoth. That's at Locked On Mammoth. Primarily active over on Twitter. You can find me personally at Robyn with a Y _Leano.
And you can find me on Blue Sky at Tom Talks and on Twitter at Callahan on Air. Well, a big 7-0 win over the Anaheim Ducks in the books. Now it's on to Vancouver and Calgary to round out this 4-game road swing to start the month of December. For Robyn, I'm Tom. Thanks as always for being a part of Locked On Mammoth.